another episode of Music of the Week. Before I do press on, I want to say thanks to everyone who watched the return stream of PBW vs AVW last night. I know it was a bit scuffed and a bit later than usual, and the PBW section had stopped streaming halfway through for some reason, so I had to pick where I left off. But it was a good show. Yeah, I think it was a really good show. Major shit happened, and I can't wait to get that posted on Saturday, and I can't wait for the Golden Path tournament to start next week. But that's something I usually say for the outro of a video, so let's just get through the 5 albums we have to go through for this one. We start in Oulu, Finland. I hope I'm saying that right. That's Oulu. With Blind Channel and their 4th album, Lifestyles of the Sick and Dangerous. These are a sort of they're self-described as violent pop, and basically it's just like metalcore with more of a focus on the poppy stuff, sort of a new metal-ish vibe with alternative rock elements, and it's a good mixture. It's a very unique one. It sort of reminded me a little bit of not Dune Rats, Ocean Grove in a way, but not nearly as fun or as good. I'm only giving this album a C. It's the lowest grade in the video, but I did not really vibe a lot with this one. I thought it was okay. Thing is, it's an album of conflicting halves as well, because on the one hand, the band have very charismatic performances, and they're very fun, and they know how to mix up the pacing well, but on the other hand, the pacing is still a bit repetitive at times. The riffs don't really feel like they change up much, and the lyrical themes are a huge whiplash. There's like a song about partying, a song about breakup, and then songs about rebellion, and something about religion as well. I'm like, they just couldn't keep a consistent tone going with it, and I think that's the thing that throws me off the most about the album. And they're 4 albums in. Granted, they're only, 9 years into their career? They'll be 10 years old next year. So, yeah, the fact that they've got 4 albums made in 9 years is still damn impressive, but good lord, like, it wasn't horrible, and I do enjoy some of the elements to it, but yeah, I would recommend maybe listening to this one only once. I didn't get a whole lot of enjoyment out of it. It's got really good parts to it, but it's just the whiplash, tonal whiplash all the way through the album. It did not help the album at all. Next we go to Vancouver, British Columbia, which is in Canada, for Chief State and their full-length debut, Waiting for Your Colours. Now, I know that they had an album before this, an album. It was only 7 songs long, so I'm not counting that. I'm counting this one. And the only reason I know that is because when I was looking the band up, I found out that they had an album before this. Really liked this one, though. Giving it a B. It's got that sort of, like, emo style of pop punk. Like, there's a lot of graveliness to the vocals. And even to the guitar work as well. Sort of like a different vibe to them. Very sort of almost technically proficient in a way. I like the lyrical themes a lot, like mostly focusing on mental health, but primarily relationships. Like, not just lovers, but like friends as well, and basically, yeah, depression and feeling like a fuck up, and can't relate to those at all. But yeah, really solid performances from everyone involved. Not as whiny as most modern day pop punk is, just a solid album. Not really much else I can say about it. It's just really good pop punk, and if you need some really good pop punk, I could recommend you listening to this one. Structured quite well. Again, produced quite well too. Produced really well. I think it's out on Mutant League, which is one of the best, like, sort of starter pop punk band labels for production, so that's a really good place to be, especially for a band like Chief State, and considering this is their first full debut. Well, of course it's their first full debut. You can't have a second debut. That sentence made no sense, but still, find this and listen to it. It's got some really good shit. Next, we stay in Canada, but we go to Hamilton for Dead Tired and their 3rd album, Satan Will Follow You Home. Now, Dead Tired are actually one of the many projects started by George Pettit, who I accidentally mispronounced as Petite. I only watched an interview with him in the week before this, and it turns out it's pronounced Pettit. But still, yeah, he's the lead vocalist for Alexisonfire. But when they broke up in 2012, a lot of them sorted out other projects. This is one of the ones that George Pettit helmed. And yeah, this is their 3rd album. And it's sort of like Alexisonfire in a way, with that typical sort of like hardcore punk leaning post-hardcore, almost black metal-y style. Well, it's okay, it's more black metal-y for this. I'm giving this one the highest grade of the episode, an A-. I really liked a lot of the things that went for this one as well. Again, very much a technical sounding album on the instrumental front. I love how, like, there was some very doomy, sludgy leaning punk riffs, and that's a style that, when done right, is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, George, being part of this band, you know, he knows his way around this stuff. I wish I knew anything about the other members. I didn't really deep dive too much into that. But still, really great work from everyone involved. The production's really good too. And if it's anything like Alexis on Fire's new album, which, in case you didn't know, is the band that George is the lead singer of. It might have been headed by the band themselves, probably just George. I don't really know the full logistics behind it. Like the lyrical themes, very political leaning for the most part. Very much things about political fears in the world, which are very prevalent right now as a theme. Again, the performances are really great. Put together really nicely, got a really good pacing to it. A slow burner album a bit, but with more like chunk to it, a bit more chunk. Just really enjoyed this one, and you definitely will too. If you're even remotely into Alexis on Fire style, then maybe don't go and do this one if you're used to more of what Alexis on Fire does, because this is sort of similar, but with more darkness to it. So be aware of that if you do choose to listen to this album, but listen to this album anyway, because it's really good. Next we go to London, England for Fresh and their third album, Raise Hell. These are a indie punk leaning sort of outfit, and they very much sound like an English-based indie punk outfit. I'll get to why in a moment. I'm giving this album a B minus. Now, from the reviews I was able to find out about this album, because very underground group. This a lot of people didn't really enjoy this one. I saw a lot of low scores, and I was like, why? It sounds exactly like British style indie punk. And most of the time it's good. I will admit the album does have a couple of problems with its pacing, first and foremost. A couple of the songs do end a bit too abruptly. The riffs are maybe a little bit repetitive, but they're still fun and punk punchy, I like the performances. Catherine Woods has a really good, sort of style for this. Has a really good vocal range for this particular style of indie rock. I like the guitar work as well. I think the bass work's quite nice. It's got solid production to it. It does try to gloss things up a bit too much for me, but it's not wholly horrible at the same time. Again, the pacing is one of the only things holding it back, because it doesn't really know exactly what it wants to do. It's sort of torn between moving things along quick, but wanting to showcase as much as it does without really any of the foresight that should be going into it. But it's still got some really solid bangers on it, and I would recommend giving it a spin for yourself. It's got good moments. I like the performances. The band do come off as really charming, and they come off as really hardworking and earnest. And I like the lyrical themes. There's sort of like a concept around relationship falling out from what I was able to gather in my head, and again, sort of mental health thing tying into that. So it does the things right. What it gets right, it gets really right. But there is a couple of things holding it back. Still, they're 3 albums in, they're not a very well-known act, so I will give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's still got some really good shit going for it. And finally, we go to Stockholm, Sweden for Viagra Boys and their third album, Cave World. Now, I have covered this band before. Once before. I covered their album, Welfare Jazz, which only came out last January, but, that's still a year and a half gap. It came out in 2021. I forgot. I thought it came out in 2020. Giving this album, though, giving Cave World here, B+. Really liked a lot of the elements on display. I feel like Viagra Boys are starting to take... Again, remember their name. They're starting to take themselves a bit more seriously, and it is something that works for them. Again, still very political leaning sort of lyrics and themes of suburban life and sort of a Black Flag style satire in a way, but not nearly as cool as Black Flag. I'm sorry, it's just very difficult to be as cool as Black Flag are. I really liked the performances as well. There's some really good saxophone work, especially on this one. It is an album that does stumble on occasion with some of its subject matter, but it does make it work in the end. It's got sort of, again, that sort of douchey charm that didn't work for that Scottish band who I covered, Twin Atlantic. Yeah, no, this is that done well, Really good post-punky sort of vibes with very unique instrumentation, which I wasn't expecting. And I listened to their last album, so I thought I would expect it, but no. And there's no even actual guitarists on this one either. Maybe for session musicians, but there's no official guitarist in the band anymore. There's a bassist, a drummer, the lead singer, a saxophone guy, and a keyboard player. I find that very interesting because you don't really get that in punk music. Punk usually relies on its guitar, but no, this album doesn't really have that, and that helps the structuring to fill out quite well. And it's got really good production to it too. I like how dissonant it all feels and how organic it just, feels, for lack of a better term. And yeah, really good performances from everyone too. I enjoyed pretty much all this, and maybe you will as well. So there's another 5 albums in the bag. My most recommended, I would say listen to all of these at least once, but obviously because you saw the video and heard the grade. My most recommended would be Dead Tired's album Satan Will Follow You Home. I will also recommend, believe it or not, I would recommend Chief State's album as well, Waiting for Your Colours. I think that has a lot of really good stuff going for it. And that's about it. Next thing I'll see you for tomorrow night, I might start streaming Peggle, which is going to be my next Let's Play, because I've almost finished with my Psychonauts 2 Let's Play, but I've still got a lot of work to do on that at the same time, so I don't know, I might push back the Peggle Let's Play by another week, actually another 2 weeks, because next week I'm going to be doing the Golden Path tournament. It's going to be a while until I get around to it, but the next video you've seen before will be on Sunday, maybe a Fight of the Night review, considering that the card on Saturday night is main evented by Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. We're probably going to be guaranteed a Fight of the Year candidate. I'm just throwing it out there. So I'll most likely see you all for that, and I'll be very surprised if that is not the Fight of the Night. So, yeah, next thing I'll guarantee is I'll see you on Sunday. And as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome.